Are there really 3 magic words that can stop arguments before they even start? Absolutely. And they are not, I love you or I appreciate you, but I love those words. These 3 words have been game-changing in my relationship. And when my clients start saying these words to their husbands, not only do they see less arguments, they also start hearing these words come back to them. I am Lindsay. This is Loving with Intention. Let's dive in so you can start saying these 3 words today. I want to paint a picture of the impact of these words. Just imagine you have had such a full day. From the moment that you wake up, it is go, go, go. You go to work, you finally get home, you've got a bit of time before dinner to just sit on the couch. You've been waiting to tell your husband what happened at work all day, and you say to him, you will never believe what my boss said today. Then, as you start telling him the story, he picks up his phone and he starts scrolling. He's looking up, giving you the occasional but he's literally scrolling as you talk to him. You are feeling, understandably, more and more frustrated on the inside, and then you finally say, hey, I'm feeling frustrated. I really wanted to tell you about this, and you've just been scrolling on your phone. And now imagine, just imagine, he puts down his phone, he looks at you, and he says, it makes sense that you're frustrated. You wanted to talk and I'm not even paying attention. I am so sorry. How would that feel? To be acknowledged, to feel seen? Oh my gosh. It feels so good. And did you catch the 3 words? It wasn't in his apology, and it wasn't even in him owning that he wasn't paying attention. It was when he said, it makes sense. Those are the 3, oh my gosh, they're such powerful words. They validate your experience. They validate your feelings. They bring tenderness and connection into these moments where disconnection could easily happen. They stop the bickering or the argument that usually would have started there, because in scenarios just like this, it is super common that you would share your frustration and he would get defensive. I'm literally sitting right here. I'm listening. I just quickly look at my phone to check it for an email. It's not a big deal. Or he might be critical. You are always on your phone when I'm talking to you, but now I'm not allowed to look at mine for 2 seconds. Or he might show contempt. He might roll his eyes, let out a big huff, say something like, you've got to be kidding me. Or he might just be like, whatever then, and walk away. Cue the argument. Instead, if he was able to pause there, take a breath, see your experience and tell you that it makes sense, it softens everything. It changes the trajectory of the conversation. And you might be like, okay, yep, this would feel so good. How do I get him to say this? We are getting to that. But first, it's super important to talk about this validation piece to see that your feelings and your experience, they do make sense. Even if your husband wouldn't feel the same as you in the exact same situation, it still makes sense that you do and that he feels the way he feels. You're a different human with your own life experiences, your own beliefs, the way that you see the world, your own sensitivities, perspectives, all the things. Just think, have you ever been in someone else's car? They're driving and they have the music turned up to a volume that is actually hurting your ears. And you're like, what the actual F is going on? How are we enjoying this? For them, it's clearly perfect. They're singing along. It's like, this is how they always crank it. They are so content. They are so happy. For you, it's obnoxiously loud and you have to ask them to turn it down or like ask them to pull over so you can safely exit the car. The reality is, both of your experiences here, they make sense. Neither one of you is wrong about the best volume to listen to music to, unless we're talking like the fine details about what's okay for your eardrums, but we're just talking about preferences here. So you both have different preferences and levels of tolerance, both of which make sense because they are your experiences. So bringing this back, if you flipped your roles and your husband was completely unfazed by you scrolling when he was talking and telling you the story that he wanted to tell you all day, that would make sense. Just like your experience does. The way that we see the world isn't the way that everyone else does, which is why we can say to each other in our relationships, it makes sense, even if you don't actually feel the same way. This is where so many people get tripped up. Saying it makes sense to your partner, it's validating your partner. And validating your partner is not saying that you're agreeing that they should feel that way. It's not saying that you would feel that way. And it's not saying you're right and I'm wrong. You're actually saying your feelings and experience make sense given what I know about you, given how I know that you experience the world, given how I know what matters to you. That's it. And that is enough to shift everything. So now we get to the part where you make your husband say these words to you. I'm just kidding. We can't do that. I wish we could, but we can't. But the good news is that you can inspire him to start saying these words by love it with intention. Ding, ding, ding. When you start looking for opportunities to say it makes sense to your husband, the whole energy in your relationship changes. Less arguing, more connection. And the women that I work with, they have found that by validating their husbands start validating them right back. It is the best and it is real. You know, when you're like hanging out with a friend for a long time or hanging out with a sibling and you start to talk like them, or maybe have you had the experience? I definitely have. We're hanging out with somebody and they have a different accent than you and suddenly their accent is falling out of your mouth. This is called emotional mirroring. It is a real thing. It's totally unconscious. It's a natural part of human connection. We literally mirror each other, which means when you start validating with consistency, it's going to be like looking in a mirror. You're going to start hearing those words come back to you. Hearing it makes sense from your husband, it is going to feel like music to your ears, but not the super loud music, unless you're the friend who has the music really cranked, because that's me. I'm definitely that friend. So let's be real. Your husband might not always express things, his feelings, in a calm and emotionally aware way, because it is pretty common that us humans, bless us truly, all of us, we react instead of expressing our feelings. We snap, we get critical, we shut down. That can make giving that validation feel super hard. But here's the thing, you can still validate without having to like make this big assumption about, okay, what is he feeling? He didn't actually say feeling words. You can actually just reflect what you're seeing or name the context. Like an example of this would be, maybe he just told you that work was nuts and he just wants to relax. And then a little bit later, he slams the cupboard or he lets out a big sigh. You could say, it makes sense that today feels like a lot and you just want to chill. I totally get it. That is so validating and so beautiful. Instead of, we might take that thing personally. So another example of this, criticism. He might be really critical and he might say to you, all you think about is yourself and the kids. You never spend any time with me. It's like, I'm not even here. That can be like, I am not validating that because it hurts. It's not true. It's critical. It's unkind. At the end of this video, I'm going to share on the screen the video that I made about how to respond to criticism in a way that changes that critical dance. And it also opens the door for you to share your hurt and to use the words, it makes sense. And then it gives him the opportunity to use those words back to you. So remember, validation is not about right or wrong. When you validate someone's experience, even when it's different from yours, even when it is hard to validate, you're reaching out for connection. That is the power of it makes sense. Your intentional action for the week is to look for ways to validate his feelings and his experience. And you can do this with your friends, your family, your kids. Use the words, it makes sense. Imagine your friend texts you about something that she got an email from her boss. So why is everything about a boss? And she's like, I'm so mad. And you respond with, it makes so much sense that you're mad. Even if you actually want to jump into helping her respond or into fixing it or by showing her, maybe it's not as bad as it looks. Validate first. Sometimes it can be easier to do this with friends than your husband because our nervous systems tend to get more triggered by our person, making it even more challenging to drop into validation. The more we practice this with other people, with our husband, the more you truly get to start creating this new pattern. If you would love to feel validated, there is a path there and it starts with you. And since I gave some criticism examples here, peep the video on the screen to learn the most powerful responses that you can pair with it makes sense when it comes to criticism. This changes the dance. Thank you so much for being here. Please like this video if it was helpful. I am sending so much love into your day. Remember, nothing changes if nothing changes. So let's have a super intentional week.